the very kind introduction. It's a real pleasure to be here at what is, of course, the inaugural Red Ball, the first of many, I hope. And as was mentioned, as you know, today is Bloomsday. And earlier today, I had the opportunity to go to North Great Georgia Street to James Joyce Centre and had the traditional Ulysses breakfast, which is a breakfast of slightly burnt kidneys. Even as the book tells us, I haven't read it by the way, but the book tells us, after which leaves you with a hint of a small taste of urine in your mouth. But I think Joyce's masterpiece is, of course, about many things. And one idea that runs through it is the stigma associated with certain medical conditions. And we learn a lot from the way they're used in the book, as a source of humour, to mock and to shame. And Joyce believes that history was a nightmare from which we are trying to awake. And I believe the story of how we used to treat people with HIV and AIDS was a nightmare that we're only now beginning to wake up from. In place of judgment, we need understanding. In place of coldness, we need compassion. And I'm here tonight because I think that we should recognise the work of HIV Ireland and others, and we should take every opportunity to educate ourselves and to raise awareness. For over 30 years, HIV Ireland, previously Dublin AIDS Alliance, has provided a range of essential free services, such as counselling, information, advice, education, training, community support, and of course testing. And every day you fulfil your mandate to help people, and that's due to your hard-working staff and volunteers. And on behalf of the government and the Irish people more broadly, I want to extend my particular thanks and appreciation to all of you. All of you working in this very challenging area can be proud of your achievements, proud of how much you do to help protect those living with HIV, proud that you care so much about their health and well-being. I was honoured back in 2015 as Minister for Health to officially launch HIV Ireland on World AIDS Day. The change of name was an acknowledgement that the great achievements in treatment now mean that for many people with HIV in Ireland, progression to AIDS is no longer inevitable. And it was also an acknowledgement of the fact that your work has long since extended beyond the Dublin area. Earlier this year, the very first audit of HIV treatment services was carried out. So we know that people attending HIV services in Ireland are generally doing very well. Last year, 5,317 people with HIV attended our services, and 98% of those were on treatment on antiretroviral drugs, and of those, 95% were successfully virally suppressed. Unfortunately, even today, HIV remains one of the most stigmatised medical conditions, and that stigma, of course, is an additional burden on top of the burden of disease. And as you know, this month, in fact, next Saturday I think it is, marks 25 years since the decriminalisation of homosexuality, and it's just over 3 years since the Marriage Equality Amendment. The stigma against gay people and gay citizens in our country is largely lifted, but the same must happen as well for people who are HIV positive. In the past, you've conducted excellent research on HIV-related stigma, and it's shown how people may feel socially alienated from wider society to the point of feeling desperate. So events like tonight reach out to everyone who's been touched or affected by HIV. And when you raise awareness, when you inform and educate, you reduce stigma and fear. And of course, the money raised from this event is so important as well. But the message that it sends is even more valuable. It sends a message that says we stand in solidarity with all of those who have HIV, their family and friends. Our strategy, the National Sexual Health Strategy, is set within the wider Healthy Ireland framework. Healthy Ireland is a cross-government programme encouraging us all to make the right choices and to improve our own health, whether it's simple things like reducing alcohol, not smoking, looking after your mental health, vaccine screening, physical activity. And one of our goals is to ensure that everyone in Ireland receives comprehensive, and age-appropriate sexual health education and information. This builds on positive and strong partnerships that already exist between the voluntary sector in this area and the HSE's Sexual Health Crisis Pregnancy Programme. We're also developing HIV strategies, and of course we're all aware of the recent availability of generic PrEP. This is a significant positive step towards making this prevention tool more readily available to those at risk of HIV in Ireland. There are of course patient safety issues here, and we need to ensure that people taking PrEP are appropriately monitored so that they and others come to no harm. To achieve this, the HSE's Sexual Health Programme has convened a multi-sectoral group to make recommendations on HIV PrEP for Ireland. It recently disseminated practical guidance to healthcare professionals around preparing for individuals who are already accessing PrEP themselves, including those who are sourcing it online. And that helps to ensure that healthcare professionals are aware of how best to use PrEP and that everyone is aware of how best to take it. As you know, we've asked for a health technology assessment of a HIV PrEP programme in Ireland, and I am confident that we will have one in place, certainly by this time next year. I expect that. I am really grateful to have the opportunity to thank everyone involved in the Sexual Health Programme for their work and for all of you for making such a difference in this area. The challenge of reducing the number of people and the number of new HIV diagnoses in Ireland is of course a major public health issue. And I'm really pleased that the success of near-patient and rapid testing. Initial results indicate that this has helped to capture people who otherwise would not get themselves tested. And you know why this is so important. Because the people who are most likely to pass on HIV are people who don't know their status, not those who do. I began with Joyce, so perhaps I'll conclude with another Irish writer, this time the great 19th century novelist, George Eliot, A.E. She believed that the growing good of the world depended on ordinary people doing extraordinary things, things that would never appear in the history books. Your action tonight and throughout the year contributes greatly to growing the good of the world, and I'm delighted to be here to acknowledge that on behalf of the government and on behalf of the Irish people. So thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.